Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Talking Wednesday podcast, episode 5. I am Dexterity Box, joined, as always, this time by the Peaky Blinder, Punk Chef 41. I'm sorry, I couldn't not when we started recording. I called you much worse in the build-up. So
I'll take Peaky Blinder. It's a lot better than what it was in the build-up.
Exactly. If you are an audio listener, he's got a flat cap on today, and I'm questioning his choices. But then again, I started wearing bucket hats, so
I saw that the other day. I thought that was a bit...
It was a mockery, but then I was also like, you know what? I could wear these if they could fit my massive head. No, I know. I'm having one of those crises. But as always, thank you for the nice reviews so far. We've had a few come through the Apple Podcast thing. It's probably the best place to do it. We're also on Podchaser, and that's another way you can review it online if you don't use Apple stuff. So Podchaser and Apple reviews, we're still pushing those because we're still growing the podcast. The numbers are great, just in terms of, because to be honest, the numbers are exceptional. We weren't expecting this. But in terms of like podcast audio credibility, we are trying to push the reviews and get it there because obviously we knew that we had some audience on YouTube already because we've both been doing content here. That's shown tenfold the amount of people who've come out on the video versions of these. And I will say the breakouts, they are a thing. A lot of you have also said you enjoy the breakouts. If you're an audio listener, you probably just listen to the podcast and then you bounce, and that's cool. We do put the little logo in the top left corner, and we do make sure that you know that it's TW clip, so it's a breakout. We're not trying to double dip people for views.
Nah.
It's just a way of other people getting to know the podcast who aren't going to just see a title that's not really related to a topic and click on a video. That way we've had more people come into the podcast. So if you are one of those new people from the breakouts, welcome. We are all about speculation on Sheffield Wednesday as news. I mean, why wouldn't we speculate? If you'd like to support the podcast, there's memberships available. Hit the join button below on the YouTube link. That's our only way at the minute. We've had some people messaging, why don't you start a Patreon just for it? All sorts of things like that. We're not going to run before we can walk, and sponsorships and things like that. We will talk. If you want the business email, it's in the bio. But yeah, this is the housekeeping today. We've had a few questions about monetization and things like that. About
we
how
much
people
appreciate
can support it,
but we're like on episode 5.
Yeah, well, no, we do. We would look into sponsorships, all sorts of things like that, because podcasts cost money, content costs money, and it's a case of we would look into that. Just keep emailing us, and we'll keep talking to people as we go along. But yeah, the join button is the best way for fans of the podcast to support it for now. We've had a lot of people message going, how can we donate? Love that.
Yeah.
Just join a membership. There's 3 different tiers available. Chuck us a little bit of money every month, or just do a one-off, and it helps out massively. Football. Okay, so it's been an interesting week. Obviously, we're recording this on the Saturday. We're recording it earlier because of some unforeseen events later on, but we will get to that because that's our second topic coming up. But let's talk about something a little bit more positive. Post-show style, recent matches. Sheffield Wednesday played Wycombe Wanderers and won 2-0. What did you think, Punk?
I thought we looked pretty solid. There was something about that game, I don't know what it was, but we looked a hell of a lot better than we have been going forward. I don't know if it could be playing Wycombe who were at the bottom, but there was an edge to Wednesday a little bit, wasn't there? Where you could see something was trying to get going. And yes, the bit that scared me was when Wycombe went on the counter, because God, they were fast. Once they got on the counter, we had to make sure we had player back. And Hutch just fit that role of just being a steady, solid defender, getting back. He made some really good tackles. But again, you get a cross into Jordan Rose, he gets his head on it. We all know what he can do. Why are they only taking so many managers and our under-23s caretaker manager to realise that you put a cross in the box, he scores goals? It's done my head in that. Harris, again, it's another Harris cross as well. Harris over the last bit have really benefit from Thompson going, get forward, put a proper ball in, and you're fine. Like before that, there was a ball that came in. Rowe missed that one, got the return ball and got the head. And during your live stream, it was like, Barry Bannon, like if Barry Bannon got ahead to that, he would need a step ladder. No offense to him, he's tiny. And it's one of those things. We were playing some really good football. And then Harris again for really the second goal, trying to make something of it. Took the shot, blocked, and Reach just hit it. And Reach smiled which was a bit strange, which we haven't seen in a while. He
Yeah,
did look a bit
obviously-
happy about it.
People have, we've obviously said for a while it looked like Reach was down in tools. That's the first time I've seen him smile for a
Yeah.
little while. Because I don't fault his effort or I don't
No.
fault his work rate and things like that. But the Reach I've seen recently hasn't been the Reach that I've seen before in terms of his sort of persona on the pitch until he scored that goal. So hopefully that perks him up a little bit. I just thought it was a professional performance off the back.
I think the only bit we all had concern with when it started snowing on that 81st minute, it was going to be like typical Wednesday. We're going to call this off and we're going to have to replay. It's like, no, please don't do that. We're winning.
No,
don't.
Definitely. And the pitch took a battering then, and we did think it was going to get closed off, especially when he added 4 minutes at the end of it.
Oh, God, yeah.
I was like, what are you doing? Just get inside. The game's gone. Right? Because Wickham weren't getting into it at the end. I think they wanted to get into the dressing room. And he added 4 minutes.
I think the big thing you saw, though, was the passion from the players. Some of the photographs they captured, especially Shea Dunkley, just showing that kind of, we got this. And it makes me kind of a bit more positive. We might stay up. Because they're now showing fight. They're now fighting for each other. But at the end of that, you see Shea Dunkley and Westwood screaming at each other in like an embrace going, we've done it again. And it's another clean sheet.
Yeah, no, exactly. Don't get me wrong, we have beat the team at the bottom of the table, but they did beat us last time out. So that's the progression of where we're at now, and there's a different vibe to this team. And the good thing is this podcast is going to go out and there's not going to be anything that changes in terms of that because Wednesday won't have played. So we have beat Wickham. We obviously had the Bournemouth result. I'm trying to think which one was it the Coventry or last?
Coventry was the one that the loss, yeah.
And then it was a bounce back, wasn't it?
We had the Everton game in between as well, the FA Cup
There's
game.
so many fixtures in all of this. No, the Everton game wasn't in between, was it? Are you sure?
Oh,
you see, this is the thing. There's so many fixtures congested now. In my head, I'm like, we've won our last 5 home games, which is mental, right?
Yeah.
And this is it's interesting that now we are going to get into.
So Coventry, then we play Preston, then we play Bournemouth, then we play Millwall, then we play Wickham.
Millwall was the loss. That was it. I forgot about the annihilation. Yeah, we should.
We never talked about that, did we?
We didn't talk about that. Usually we wouldn't talk about that, but we recorded the podcast a day early last week.
Yeah, we did.
And then I said, "There's a chance we'll get spanked at Millwall."
It's your fault.
We did get spanked at Millwall. There was the 4-1 loss there. I put it on my Twitter that it was the typical Wednesday crumble.
Yeah, it was.
You know, it all just came down in that last half, and there is still the worry about Plan B here. I've talked about Plan B in the past. We'll probably expand on a topic. Punk put it in the document. Maybe we'll talk about Plan Bs and different things. But with the match getting cancelled today, I didn't really want to talk about that, especially when we're coming off a win. I want to see more examples of it. But there has been a couple of matches where once we go behind, we do struggle. That is still an issue for us. And we did sort of fall off the edge of a cliff against Millwall, which was unfortunate, but the right attitude against Wickham. If we'd have done it against Wickham as well and we'd have got a draw or a loss, it would have been one of those where it was like...
And I'll have it because someone brought it up. It felt like it was the first time we were out of the bottom 3 for a long time. Because somebody did say we have been out the bottom 3 for, but it's only been like for a couple of hours or a day or so. This time we had it where we were able to be out the bottom 3 for like a good solid 3 or 4 days. And
obviously gaming hands are a thing.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that could change. We are going to go on to the fact that the match has been postponed, which should be played today on the day of recording this, the day yesterday when you're watching this, with the frozen pitch at Hillsborough. We'll get into all that in a minute, but I just want to talk about the fact that we're talking about league position. By the time you watch this, we might be back in the bottom 3.
Yeah.
But if Derby are playing, which I assume they are, if they lose, we could. There is a way we can stay out of the bottom 3.
Yeah.
Because it annihilates that game in hand.
Yeah, they got Middlesbrough.
Interesting.
Which is a solid team who are still looking for that promotion push.
So if they lost against Middlesbrough, we could stay out of the relegation. If I'm looking at that table there, the teams below us, is it only Derby with a game in hand? If you've got the league table up.
Let me have a look. It looks like it's Derby. Let's have a look. Because they'd had the issue of people with waterlogged pitch and frozen pitches as well. That's a look. Derby have played 27. Yeah, looks like and I think Wickham.
Wickham have, yeah, but Wickham are on 16 points. So the ones that can catch us, if
Derby
lose...
It's Derby, really.
Yeah, if Derby lose and have lost at the time of watching this podcast, there is a chance that Wednesday will be out of the relegation zone and remain there, and we've got more of a platform to build on. And I know this is a sad watch for fans, but if you've been watching this season, this is positive for us. And even if Derby do win and get a good win against Borough, we've still got, we're then level on games and we know we're 3 points off safety and we just have to keep working for it.
And we've got Birmingham. We've got Birmingham to play soon as well, which is going to be a huge game. They suddenly taken a turn down, and I think for Birmingham,
we'll talk about Birmingham a little bit later on because we've got them next week. So we will talk about. Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
So, that's how fast the fixtures are going. I think you thought they were a little while away.
Yeah,
but no,
I did.
They're up on the document later on. So yeah, we've got a lot of upcoming matches to talk about later. If we don't know when this Swansea result's going to get.
No, there hasn't been any talk about it yet. I have a funny feeling they're going to try and shove it in between the international break.
I was talking to a Norwich fan, and they went, "Why, when you have got this home record?" I said, "Why are you not playing them now? Because this is the chance. We need you to beat them for our promotion push." And I was like, honestly, this is probably the only time we were going to beat them because Swansea are a good side, and we've got 5 on the bounce at home. That's the only concern I've got. This postponement could mean that there's a different attitude in the team.
But it also could change on Swansea's point of view. They're on a good push. We could get them where, which is typical Wenton, we could get them where they're in a bad run, and then teams that are normally in a bad run play us and then do well. So Cat 22. Look at the Millwall result. They hadn't won since October at home. Rolling Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, we are that team. We've become that team, which is wonderful. But yeah, so the match has been postponed because of a frozen pitch. There's been a lot of drama about this, which I wasn't really expecting. A lot of people going. There is a large vocal group of fans now that will throw anything at Chansiri.
Yeah.
And there's been unnecessary hate for a frozen pitch. Yes, it looks like the heating bill's probably not being paid in that, but it's also happened at Rotherham.
Yeah.
It's winter, and I don't really see it as a big deal to me. I'm going to miss watching the match today. I was excited for it. For a lot of people, it's the highlights of the week. We're on a good run. It's not the best timing for it. Clearly, something has gone wrong with the heating of the pitch. I've heard you've heard rumours before about this.
I heard rumours about Tuesday, Wednesday time saying that the underground heating system has been broken and it's not been repaired yet. Now, I understand that people are like, well, Chansiri should pay for this and get it fixed. Just shows you don't care about the club. It's like, it's not as easy as that though. Because if you have to repair it, do you have to dig some bits of the pitch up? Do you have to do maintenance some other way? We don't know what the ins and outs are. We don't know, how long it's been frozen for. And it's winter, for God's sake. These things happen. And people are like going, yes, it shouldn't happen to a championship club and all the kind of stuff.
It shouldn't happen when we've got a Deso pitch and they're meant to be maintained.
Yeah.
To be honest, yes, I get the fact that this shouldn't have happened, right? But I don't see it as another reason for abuse. It's happened, you move on.
Yeah.
I think people are looking for anything and they want their football, and it's fair. But the point is, we've got some things here that at the start of the season, there was talks of a rush season back. They've had all the current world events situations happening. If the drainage problem was an issue, that's obviously going to cause freezing issues, and that's possibly how the system is broken. Windass was talking to Yorkshire Live, and he commented on, I think everyone had tired legs today, especially with how boggy the pitch is. It's tough out there to even get control of the ball. It's real boggy. It's the same for both teams. So a boggy pitch does suggest that the drainage is not a thing. So it's not even necessarily just the underfloor heating. Because
It sounds more like that the whole pitch itself hasn't been maintained properly for a while. Now, I did see a couple of seasons ago we were looking for new head groundsmen and whatever. Had the pitch been maintained to how it should be? We don't know. And this is the thing, like, you might have someone who says, my mate Phil, who knows such and such, who knows the person down the pub, and if you go into a pub during what's going on, fair play to you, has said and spoke to his mate who works at the club that it's this. We don't know, because the pitch is not something you normally talk about as fans. It's not like a player, it's not like a game, it's not like a transfer. It's general maintenance of the club. Now, people will go, well, he now owns the stadium, so he's in charge of looking after it. Even if he didn't own the stadium like he does, he's still in charge of it. It's still part of Sheffield Wednesday. It happens. And I think people need to put it down to it's the elements, it's the time of year. There's a lot of other scenarios in play that can cause this. Like, if this was like Manchester United and something like that, I could understand having a massive go at it because they're a big club with the money to go, we'll get this fixed ASAP. And also, remember, Chansiri's not in the country at the minute. So a phone call or an email to him, it'll get there, but what's he able to do realistically to try and get it fixed, if you know what I mean?
The worrying thing is we have rolled the dice on it, but it was -5 last night, for Christ's sake, in a lot of the North. And it's not a great thing. It's funny because we can't really win on either situation with this because we get told we're defending Chansiri too much, and then we'll put a certain breakout out and we'll get told that we're just looking for anything to beat Chansiri with because you can tell the people have only seen certain styles of the content. We very much try and sit in the ground, in the situation of positives, negatives. We're all sort of in this situation together. How can we work through it? I do think looking at it, taking a step back, yes, Chansiri he's the owner, so obviously the book stops with him. They needs to make sure that every aspect of the club is running properly so we can play our professional football matches. There is a groundsman. There is something here where that pitch thing was either known by the higher-ups in the club and it was ignored, or someone has absolutely dropped the ball and it's happened quickly. So we don't know the ins and outs of it. Obviously, there's a lot of negativity around the ownership at the minute, so immediately we're going to think he's not putting the money in, he's not maintaining the pitch. Could be the case, but we don't know either way. We do know that Deso pitches do not have a massively long lifespan and they're meant to be regularly maintained and then replaced.
I think ours will probably need to be due to be redone soon. Because he did it. He did it 5 years ago. 5
years.
He did it 5 years ago when he first came in, didn't he?
Exactly.
So it makes you wonder if we get a new pitch in the summer. It might tell you where Chansiri lies with what's going on.
This is what we were thinking. Really, we were thinking it's a case of does he want to spend all because Deso pitches are not cheap either. No, really not cheap. They're great pitches, but
I think it's $1 million to get it fitted.
If you want to put your money into it, Chansiri, that shows that it's sticking around. But usually when a pitch isn't maintained, it means that an owner's not looking for the long-term future and is looking for an escape clause in a couple of years. So
we had that when we had Milan, if you remember, where we had that game called Oku.
That pitch was horrific.
It was terrible.
He was looking to sell for ages, and it does feel very Groundhog Day. Just a different owner thing. This time, though, we've got an owner with some actual money, even if it's not filtering into... I mean, Mandaric had money. He was just...
tight.
Yeah, to put it nicely. Yeah, a lot of people like him. I like him for what he did to the club and everything. But if you actually... He was a miser of a businessman that was knew what he was doing, for sure.
His famous underwater phone is what I always remember from him.
I just remember seeing pictures of him with his arm up like this all the time. He seemed to always take photos, with arms up against there like that. But for audio listeners, go watch that one on YouTube. We're just going to give you a quick update on Musa because I'm not going to talk about Musa anymore.
Feel quite dead.
Just because it's a transfer that we've spoken about in the past, and we do try and keep you updated on things that have occurred. West Brom pulled out of the race fully. That might make you think, if Wednesday were linked with him, that gives us more of a chance. Well, Birmingham Live have said, although Allardyce was open to taking him on and involving him in the squad, the club weren't in a position financially to reach an agreement with Musa and his representatives. So if West Brom couldn't afford him at Prem level, there's an issue there. There's also links with Southampton. Brighton were the other team. Yeah. So even though we talked about him having a trial with Burton and the links were credible, the talks with potentially with a look to a move short term at Wednesday. Looking at all this now, I think his sights are set higher, and I don't think it's going to be a championship move for him. It's something that if it got revived, we'd talk about again, but we just thought we'd update you on it because it was one of the ones that looked credible, but it looks like he's got his sights set a little bit higher at the minute.
Yeah. And it's one of those ones, it's like, completely get it, but it, like you say, if West Brom are struggling, they're Prem. There's obviously something that's way too much either agent fee or want something in the contract that just doesn't sit right. And I think players are going to have to be very careful in the summer what they ask for because clubs are just not going to afford it. They're not getting gates in, not getting fans in. That's a huge chunk of revenue for a lot of clubs. So I think players and agents are going to have to tone down what they want or something. Or some may have to say, look, I'll stay at the club because it's a job, but I understand I'll have to take a pay cut.
No, yeah, completely. Probably not happening. We'll see if it does.
Yeah.
We got some interesting stories this week. This one we actually heard about a little bit before and didn't talk about it on last week's very packed Talking Wednesday because we only had one source for it. And then Sky go and report it, and now it's true. We said, could we talk about this because we don't really know if it's credible? We held it back, and it is credible. Eric Alonso tried to buy the club. Chansiri rejects it. So Sky Sports said the Spaniard who owns the management company, WBD Sports, and is said to be backed by a wealthy Indonesian consortium, offered between 25 million and 30 million for a 100% stake. That is slightly different to what we heard, so we will discuss that in a second. It's also worth mentioning that Eric's now completely off Twitter. He's linked with buying Derby as well. There's a lot of sort of drama still around this Eric Alonso situation, but I do think it's coming to the end.
Yes.
Because Chansiri obviously turned it down.
He said no, basically.
If this is true in the first place.
Yeah.
It's worth mentioning. We heard that there was going to be some sort of fan backing behind this because the way Eric Alonso was pandering to the fans that he was going to offer the fans a stake in it and all of that. And we were like, do we really put this into the show because we're not sure if we buy it? I could see him probably throwing an offer at Chansiri, but for 25-30 million, that's what he paid for it.
Yeah. He paid, I think it was about 37 million and then it would be add-ons.
So even less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you put in what he put in already.
That's what I was thinking. He's probably going to want about 40 for it at least, because then you're sort of like, well, I've got to cut my losses.
Well, let's have a look. 60 million for the ground.
Yeah, let's forget that he said he's put like 250 million.
Yeah, let's just put aside all the money he's put in, because at the end of the day, you can put a load of money into a house and do it up. But if the market's not in the right place, so say 60 million for the stadium there, plus 20 to 30 million, and I've heard talks that he wants 150 million for it, which for Wednesday is probably a decent price. In our current form and current world situation, it ain't going to happen. No one buying football club when everything's going off.
150 million for a club that's 21st in the Championship.
Yeah.
He's going to have to get us to the Prem if he wants 150 million for us.
Exactly.
You don't buy a Championship club for 150 million. No. You know, like, he's going to be lucky to get 50 out of this club. It's a shambles.
60 at a push.
No, I don't agree. Like, and I'm sorry. This is the one thing that, like, it hurts being a Wednesday fan and saying this, but
we're not worth.
We've got to look. You take the fan base, you take the merchandising opportunities and things like that. But Chansiri has tried so many things to get more money out of the fans by upping the ticket prices, the merchandising. He has done it all to try and compete with financial fair play by rinsing the fans of their money. Nobody's going to look at that and go, I'm going to spend 50 million and be able to somehow do it differently and make the money from the fans, because they're going to get hit with financial fair play in the same way.
Also, just remembered, he owns Elevate, which is our kit sponsors. So you've got to throw in the kit makers as well, because he owns it. You've got to.
I didn't know he owned Elevate.
Yeah, he owns Elevate. So he owns Elevate, or he owns something. I think there's something in company houses that says he owns Elevate. That's how we do the kits. kind of thing.
Right.
He paid the kit. So are you then also then paying him for the clothing line with the club as well? If you know what I mean?
Honestly, Chansiri is embedded into every aspect of this club at the minute in that regard. But before we talk about that, what do you think about Alonso? What do you think about the Alonso situation?
It feels very PR bin. It feels like he's trying to get fans on board to go, I want to buy the club. And the thing is, the consortium that it was a club called Barley FC, I believe it is, who he's already a stakeholder in. So it feels like they want to go, we got this Indonesian club that we want to keep, but we also want to have the championship club who can feed either players to our club or vice versa, kind of thing. And at first, when we saw all the stuff about Alonso going out, I was like, okay, fair enough, that's happened. But then you see that it screams of just wanting more attention. And did he put the bid in? Is that why he left his role? Was the bid in before this all happened and he turned it down and he said, right, if I can't buy the club with these, I'll go?
Yeah.
Or is this, and then that's why he released it. We don't know when this bid came out.
I'm kind of sick of hearing about him now.
I've had enough of it, to be honest with you.
Unless he comes out and talks to someone in the press or gives an actual story or can back it up, because he came out obviously the first time and said that it'll all come out in the wash sort of thing. I'll talk about it when it's the right place to do it. I don't know. It's 25-30 million. He possibly did throw that at Chansiri, and Chansiri was like, you having a laugh? We're in an interesting world situation where I'm not going to recoup anything on this. And Chansiri has always said he'll sell the club, but he wants ridiculous money for it, right? So he's not going to sell it to Alonso, is it?
And it's also that other thing. I wonder how much there is pressure from at home to get rid of it, because you don't know what it's doing to him mental health wise and general health wise, because I can't think owning a football club during with what's going on in the world is an easy thing to do. And with the fact that you can't be here to kind of run it anyway and look after it. Because I don't know if his advisors, that the other advisor is in the country. I don't know if he's somewhere else. It feels like that you've got a club that you've got two people who are remotely working, where you want someone on the ground to be able to make sure things right. There's only so much you can do by remote working than actually being there.
No, yeah, well, we are going to talk about Chansiri and whether he should sell the club or not at a later date. We were going to talk about it today, but we're not going to do that because there's so much we can talk about in terms of his pros, his cons, and things like that. You've obviously done a recent video on his pros and cons. We'll probably do that when the fixtures get back to it. I want to hear a little bit more about the pitch situation, because I think that could actually leak into it a little bit more. We could find out a little bit more about his intentions going forward. But Alonso, I just think he needs to talk to people, because at the minute he's seeming more and more like a chancer, especially with being linked with Derby. And he came out, and obviously the fans were looking for a stick to beat Chansiri with.
They got it.
Well, not everybody. I wasn't generalising, but there's that there. And Alonso was like, I'm just going to like everything, cause a load of drama and do that. And it just seems like he's had his moment in the spotlight. We've talked about him on 2 podcasts now. And he's now, obviously, I think he's leaked it to Sky. Because we were hearing it from we were hearing it from places.
We literally messaged each other going, we're not sure, we need another source. And then it came out like, oh, maybe there's something there.
Well, yeah, and our source was saying it was coming directly from Alonso himself, so he probably has leaked it to Sky, right? So that's a bit of inside track for you there, that Alonso has been talking to people on the back end. So I reckon he's taken it straight to Sky, said he's offered this, and I could see him tabling this offer, could never see Chansiri accepting it for that sort of money, No. So
I think it's one of those things, we are stuck with Chansiri till the whatever happens, and as everyone keeps saying, he should sell up. If people are saying he should sell up and go, could be a lot worse if someone comes in, or it could be a lot better. It's
also the thing, we don't know much about this Alonso guy. So what if he did buy the club and he started to be this shady already on the back end of it? We've got no idea, I want to know what you guys think on that, though. Would do you buy this Alonso situation? Because the more I hear of it, there's nothing credible there for me anymore in terms of something that would actually work in the real world.
Yeah, but if there's anyone like what's the thick of it from the BBC, feels like Malcolm Tucker a little bit.
It's definitely an interesting one, but Eric Alonso, hopefully it's the last time we mention him for a while.
I really do hope it's the last time. I'm sick of digging it up.
I mean, you're always welcome on here to tell the story, mate, but I'm sick of hearing your name now because we've not actually seen anything credible from it. And that if that bid had happened, it was never going to go through. No. So, moving on. Salary caps. Okay, a big thing we've talked about. We talked about the championship salary caps. The idea got scrapped, so we were happy about that because I don't think it helps balance it. Or we've already talked about how financial fair play is already a bit flawed in its own system. This would just make it worse. Now, the salary cap in League 1 and 2 has been scrapped by the looks of it. So this is from Sky as well, sourcing a lot of the quotes saying, EFL salary cap for League 1 and League 2 withdrawn following arbitration panel verdict.
Now, the interesting thing with this panel, it seems like it's the same kind of panel that did all for the points thing. So it's an independent panel.
Yeah, so wasn't the independent panel the one that took us to 6?
Yep.
Rather than 12. So this independent panel seems to have clubs' best interests. I guess because it's an independent panel, the panels will change. But they have seemed to work in clubs' best interests by the looks of it, the way they've been going so far with our points deduction, with our points deduction reduction, sorry. Oh, that's a name for an album. And obviously now the salary cap in League 1 and 2. From the Sunderland Echo, they said, and quote, as a result of the successful challenge, let's try that one again. As a result of the successful challenge, League 1 clubs will revert to less stringent salary cost management protocols for the time being. Those rules say that a club can only spend 60% of its turnover on wages, but owners can inject equity to support turnover. So what that means is currently, these aren't the new rules, by the way, these are the rules that currently are. You can only spend 60% of your wages in League 1 and 2, 60% of your overall turnover, that's your wages. It means clubs don't get too big for it. It doesn't really work if you get dodgy owners, but the whole point of the EFL's sort of background checks are meant to make sure you've got owners that can back it up. Injecting equity to support turnover is exactly what should be able to happen in a club, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Financial fair play makes that difficult anyway, because you can't make a certain amount of losses. You forget with the salary cap getting scrapped, there's still financial fair play in the mix of it, so you still can't make the certain losses. If that 60% wages and turnover thing happened, Wednesday wouldn't be in the situation we'd have now.
No.
Chancery, I mean, we'd have probably rolled the dice a few more times and just kept chucking money at it until something stuck. Because look at Wolves, they did it right. They chucked money at it, and they'd have been in a world of trouble if it hadn't worked, and it worked.
Yeah.
And now they're established, and now they're a decent Prem side. So
this is the thing. When Chancery rolled the dice, he went for it. Fair play to him. He gambled, and in the Championship, you do have to a little bit gamble. You have to sometimes gamble. It's very rare you get clubs that go up that haven't bent over the odds, who haven't kind of broke the FFP. Like one of the clubs that I think everyone remember with their famous takeover. Remember Blackburn and the Venkies? Now,
I do vaguely.
The Venkies have now just put another 7 million into Blackburn.
Yeah,
and they're still the owners of Blackburn. This whole thing, we might be in the rough patch with Chancery now, but if things go right, if Blackburn can turn it around like they have done, then they are established and they stick to they know what their limits are. Kind of thing.
I don't know. I don't know much about the Blackburn situation, but it is interesting to see, because there's a lot of clubs that have fallen and rose again and done it right and had a go again. And there is a chance that we could have a go again with these situations. And now the reason we bring in this up is obviously it's not Championship related, but there is a chance still we're 21st, potentially in the relegation zone by the time of this podcast, where Wednesday could drop to League 1. And we were saying that with a salary cap in there, say goodbye to everybody and we'd be in trouble, So now there is a chance that if we've got some assets that are on assets, they're human beings, but, we've got some player player assets. God, you can tell I'm reading business sheets here and business quotes referring to people as assets. But if we've got some players that are on wages that would be aggressive for us in League One and we'd have had to ship them off, there is a chance that if we are looking to bounce straight back up, we could loan some of them and tide our way through until the next season, basically, and try and get back up. Obviously, a lot of people will be wanting to see a clear out if we get relegated, especially. I understand that probably still will happen, but it puts us in a situation where,
to be fair,
I was always saying it'd be financial doom.
We'll have a little bit of a clear out anyway, won't we? When you look at how many players.
That's going to happen. That's going to happen. Obviously, 19 players out of contract. Yes, they can still sign contracts. I think some people need to realise that that's what we were saying. We want some to sign contracts, but 19 players could leave.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if we did drop, which I hope it's not a situation for us, but I was always saying it's going to be financial doom because the League One's changed so much with the salary caps. This just relieves
helps
a little bit of that pressure.
Yeah.
If we can, but it still wouldn't be a great thing because you'd lose your turnover. Chancery couldn't keep charging the same prices he's been charging.
I think it's 8 million you lose in TV revenue.
Yeah, which is not a lot compared to like the Prem's 130 million packages, things like that. But it's definitely a chunk of change for financial fair play.
It's a lot when you think that at the current moment you're not allowed fans in.
Yeah,
and we don't know how long that's going to be a thing.
And also, if we did drop, just look at Wigan, currently 21st in League One. This is the worrying thing because our parallels with Wigan are starting to get a little bit. We didn't go into admin yet, but they're currently 21st in League One. They're about to double drop. They're going to be another one of those sides that's been at the top league, done a drop. Yeah, exactly. They could be a League One team. Could Wednesday be another one of them? We have got to hope. And this is why I'm saying, don't start abusing everybody on the ownership and things like that. I understand you want the club run properly, but for the love of God, if we get somebody coming in and cuts their losses and shuts it down, or we go into admin, if Chancery is still owner of the club, but he loses all interest in it and just lets us plummet, we could be one of those clubs, because then he could just walk away from it. We could be into admin, things like that. And I don't like the idea of dropping down to that league. No. But if we did, hopefully without a salary cap and things like that, we could retain some players and give it a bit of a push. We've got obviously youth coming through. So it's not as bleak if we drop now. However, it's still going to be pretty bad. Now, the next one, this is going to be a breakout. I'm just saying, I did this just because people like to say that you speculate, and we do speculate. So this is prime speculation that could happen, and people have said, "Oh, you can see that happening," but I don't think it will happen.
No.
Neil Thompson's on a great run. Okay, he's doing very well. 5 wins at home, 5 out of 7 wins in the last matches. I don't see any reason to change the current situation at Wednesday at the minute. Don't give him a deal. Keep it going. Status quo, right?
Yeah.
But if he did start to fall a little bit, and hypothetically, would Frank Lampard, who has recently been sacked at Chelsea, be a good fit for Sheffield Wednesday, given the club's relative size in comparison to Derby, the very similar clubs in a way? Like, you've got your Forest, your Wednesdays, Derbys, things like that. Would it be a good way of having another go? Because obviously Rooney's at Derby now. He's not going to go back there. I don't think many clubs in the Prem would want to take a chance on him currently. That might change. That might be a thing that does happen. But would he be, regardless of the fact if he'd come or not, would he be a good fit for Wednesday? I'll just want to give you some stats before we discuss this. Okay, so he's got a 42.1 win percentage in the Championship after one season, right? That is one of the best win percentages
very good.
Of managers in that league. And yes, he was backed. And yes, he obviously had his Chelsea links. But all of that could still be a thing that helps us if he was our manager. This is what I'm saying. He won 21, drew 14, lost 14, finished 6th. Obviously lost in the playoff final. Some decent stats. What do you think?
If what they want, that would be an interesting one, because the one thing I've seen from Frank Lampard is he puts a lot of passion into players. He makes them play for that badge. when Derby took to him very quickly, and also, obviously Chelsea were always going to take to him. But that first season he was at Chelsea, couldn't bend anything, had to use what he had. In that kind of sense where we're in a similar position where we're not too sure what we can bend, what money is available. Him actually, like you put in the notes, focus on the youth, Manson, Mount and Tamore. Oh, God. Tamore. And
Manson Mount. Carry on, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, bugger, yeah. But yeah, with our whole youth coming through, I want to start using our youth team more. I really do. What's the point of having a youth team if it's not going to eventually play for your first team? There's no point having it. If your youth team players are not going to get that breakout and get into your first team, you shouldn't have it. Kind of thing.
No.
I think someone who can promote the youth to come into that squad, show that they can, and we've already seen it with Thompson already. He's already doing it. Neil's already showing that youth who want to get in can get in this squad. And I think if we had a situation like Thompson or Lampard, we might not have seen the likes of Hurst and Clare go as fast as they did. They might have been we might have been able to put them on contract and then sell them for more. And in terms of, if you're thinking about like selling players on, it's the youth where you're going to get the most value for, kind of thing. And I think Lampard would be a really good shout, but would he come to it? Probably not. But I don't like
know,
the idea.
because that's the thing. The reason I brought it up is because it's a link that there's been just so you know, we're not saying that this has been notorious for sacking managers, right?
Let's also remember with that Chelsea team, he brought in so many players. It was a case of getting those players to gel. I think if you get those players to gel,
yeah,
next season you get the best out of them.
Well, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if we stay up, right? This is the thing. If Neil gets us to stay up, a lot of people will be saying, give Neil the job. But if Chansiri didn't want to do that, looking at alternatives, and yes, they're a little bit of a pipe dream because of the situation we're in, despite the club's history, because history doesn't mean the most thing. It's on your current results. If he was looking to do a Stuart Gray thing when he brought in Carlos,
I was about to say that, yeah.
Looking at and he's done it before, he's got a track record of it, right, with the Stuart Gray thing. I know Stuart Gray was already employed before he took over and things, but he does tend to want to get a guy in that'll work for that situation, you know, and Frank's worked as a head coach, you know, he's worked into that mould. I think he'd be a motivator to the players, and I could see it being an appointment that he tried to make. And I would actually be really up for this because I've thought about it more and I've looked at it and I thought if it can't be Neil Thompson, if the results did fall off a cliff, out of all the candidates, for me it's Frank Lampard at the minute. So I thought it's worth talking about it, regardless of if he'd ever actually come to us or not. I'd quite like Frank Lampard here if the situation ever was available. But yeah. I thought it was worth talking about.
It is one of those ones. He is an available coach at the minute.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
And what is a podcast if you can't talk about the what ifs? Now, this what if isn't as fun. I wanted to get you guys involved, and this is going to be...
And I've not had a look at this poll because I forgot to.
So every week, Punk actually suggested this to get everybody involved in it, which is a cool thing, because clearly my brain's not working today. You'll probably notice the fact I've been talking over myself, that Punk's bringing the ideas today. So, we're going to ask you, this is my idea, at least, I'm contributing here. Do you think Sheffield Wednesday will get relegated? We're going to ask you this every little while towards the end of the season, and we're going to collate the poll results. To this second, we have had 223 votes on the Community Tab poll. 78%
right
think we're not going to get relegated.
Ooh.
And 22% obviously think we do, because it's a simple yes, no.
Now,
people went into depth. I appreciate that people went into depth and they gave us, questions. Some people are saying we won't go down this season, we'll go down next. Some people were saying, I think we've got enough.
Can I just say something, though? If you're the 200 lot that has done the poll, Why is it we have hardly any people asking any questions in the community tab?
That's a good point. This week was because like 223 votes on the poll question, and then 3 people wrote into the podcast this week on that tab when we asked for topics, and we were like, right, slow news week as well, so we're gonna have to pull a show out of our arse here. So, yeah, we wanted to ask this because we want to get a vibe of where the fan base is at in our community, and a lot of you are still very positive. We thought that would be the case. Well, I thought that would be the case at this stage with Neil Thompson's run. What did you think?
I thought it would go the other way. I thought it might have been more negative, thinking that was going to go down. Yeah.
If we'd have asked this on Twitter, we might have got a slightly different response because obviously different. There's also apparently there's a couple of people who press yes accidentally, so the 22% might be slightly lower because the yes was at the top.
Oh right.
I thought we do this every so often, throw it in the podcast, talk about the updates of where people are, probably do it after some controversial results, things like that. I want to see where people's minds are at, and it's kind of a case study of a Sheffield Wednesday fan's brain, depending on the results
that sounds
in
like
the right
such
now.
a really good thing to do for a uni course.
No, exactly. I'm going to go and do a PhD in it. So I currently think we've got enough to keep us up. That's where I sit. We'll just see if the run can continue, because the one worry for me now with a match postponement, can we pick it up after a while? Because we did come back a bit leggy.
Yeah.
I am concerned about how often we're talked about being leggy. Why are we so leggy? Yes, there's a lot of fixtures. Yes, it's cold, but
it's the same for
it's when we got beat 4-1, he went, oh, we were a bit... That's the one thing, right? One criticism I got on Neil Thompson, he went, oh, well, yeah, we were a bit leggy in that second half. A bit? Second half? A bit leggy? We conceded like 3 goals in a short span of time. Where were the legs? In the changing room, and they frozen off. I just thought that was the understatement, because he comes out and says it, if like, he says leggy a lot, but getting battered 4-1 and then goes, oh yeah, we were a bit leggy. I was like, a little bit more depth would have been. If that happens again, Neil, and I hope it doesn't, because you're doing very well, leggy is not the response.
I have the thing on this where I think we'll stay up, but my slight concern is injuries, because we've already lost Andre Green to an Achilles injury. I read that the other day. Van Acken's not coming back anytime soon, and there's another one, I can't remember who it was. Willie
Orfer's out for the season.
Yeah, but he's back on the pitch though. He's actually back with boots on. So.
Oh, I thought a lot of people were saying we weren't going to see him until the end of the season.
He is out for the season, but he has already picked up his rehab and he's got boots on and he's running. So that's a good start.
No, that is.
But
good.
I have the thing is it's the injury kind of thing, and because we got a lot of now Tuesday, Saturday games, we got to make the most of these games and get as many points as possible, and then have that break for the international break and take that as a massive break for them to rest their legs.
I can hear your child. Is that coming through the mic? We'll stop for a second. I'm going to mute all of this and possibly leave this in this little bit. But Punk is currently dealing with a crying child. His child. And then there's a cat that walked into the room. The things that go on. I mean, what do you think of his flat cap today? Let me know in the comments. He's going to hate me for this when I keep this in. I'm such an arse sometimes. So yeah, Punk is back. I hope you enjoyed my little monologue. I'm sure he'll enjoy it when he watches the podcast back. I could have been mean, but I was fairly nice. And now moving on, because we've talked about relegation. We both don't think it's going to happen. We'll keep you updated. That's a topic that we're going to revisit as time goes on. But moving on to the community questions from this week. There was none on Twitter and 3 in the community tab. For the love of God.
Here you go.
You always...
Free
I'll get them all in my chat.
Votes.
They'll all be in my chat when I live stream.
Oh, when you do them in the chat, me and Dove kind of had this thing going, we're not meant to be doing these, are we?
well, no, that's the thing, because people want to ask it thinking, they go, oh, you'll talk about this. I'm like, literally, we are all focusing on the stream at the time. I put a thread for the community tab because I want you guys involved. Thank you to those that use the community tab. if you can't find it, I'm going to try and link it. But literally, you just have to click on my channel and go across to a tab that says community. And it's
But that's
there.
the thing. They do know where it is. There were 200 and something votes.
That's a good point. 223 votes on the poll. 3 people wrote in. And the first one is Zaxter, 55, who says, will Rhodes finally start firing and become our main man, or will it be Patterson?
Ooh, good question.
Go ahead.
I like to say both if I can, because they're both starting to hit that kind of form. We are finally knowing that we know how to play to Jordan Rhodes, which I said earlier, it's about time. It's an interesting one because Rhodes start firing, you're then worried that does he sign another, does that make the club go, oh, we'll sign him for another season, then whoever comes in, does it go back to reverting to the old way? But I'm happy that he's scoring goals and he's playing well. Patterson, on the other hand, Patterson is that player that when we first signed him, I was very happy we got him because he's such a good player. He's you notice he liked to dig in a little bit and he liked to wind players up, which I do like. I do like watching some really good ousery when a player is trying to wind up. I think it should. Have we played them both together yet? Properly up top.
Yeah, we played
and
them.
it's working.
We played them both together last match.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? And
we started. Yeah,
it did work a little bit.
I don't know if it did. I think we won. Obviously, we're playing Wickham, but so yeah, you could say it worked on that in that respect. I don't know if against a lot of the sides in the Championship,
I think Windass and Patterson better.
We're gonna rely so much on Harris to have a stellar game like he did against Wickham every time out. If we don't have pace up front, for me. And yes, it's an old football managers, and they'll win a game either way. For me, you've got to have someone with a little bit of pace next to somebody that just doesn't. And Rhodes doesn't have the pace anymore.
No,
he can't run half the length of their pitch and beat a man. You know, he can. Don't get me wrong. He's not like running through treacle, but he's not got the pace of a Windass. And yes, Windass probably hasn't got the finesse of somebody like Jordan Rhodes who can find a goal from anywhere and poach it. But I do feel like we need a pacey option. So I'd like to see... I don't think we really set a main man unless someone really starts firing it. Yeah. It's looking like... Rhodes is making a case for it, but it's looking like you can't not start Patterson because Patterson's just on fire.
But can I also have the comparison that with Patterson, I'm seeing a lot of... And if you're new Hugh haters, then fair enough. You don't like him. But Patterson's showing the determined we had when we had New Hugh, just works so hard off the ball and trying to think. You look at his last 2 goals, they were scrappy goals, but he was in the right time at the right place.
Yeah,
and that's what you need. And we've not had that person willing to run and go, because Fortieri was very good at like just closing people down. Patterson can do that job. He's not great at it, but when he does do it, it sometimes normally pays off.
Yeah, that's the one headache I'd actually have now as a Wednesday manager, deciding who to give the...
Harris has started chipping in with it as well. Don't listen to do it. It's really nice.
We've started to, for monetization reasons, crap house people a little bit.
Yes.
And I like to see the big load of crap house, and we have become one of those. But yeah, I think it will be an or situation, unless it's a scrappy match when we'll see them together. Yeah. But Zaxter, thank you for writing
Good question. Thank you.
I don't know, because it would give me a headache as a manager at the minute. I think you have to give it to Patterson at the minute until Rhodes keeps going.
And to be fair, it's also a little bit unfair on Windass because Windass has been playing really well of late.
A couple of matches he's been a little bit substitutes. He's better when he starts. When he's subbed, it's not the best.
Takes him a while, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I think Stoke. We'll talk about upcoming matches again, but yeah, we know we've got Stoke coming up. I think you've got to start. You've got to try and get behind that Stoke back line. So I think you start with pace next to either Rhodes or Patterson. We'll see what Neil does. Yeah. The next comment comes from Harley Norris on YouTube. Out of the current back line, who does Iorfa replace when he comes back?
This is slightly an easy one for me. I think it's Tom Lees. You have Iorfa and Dunkley. But the only problem there, what's Dunkley's fitness? Because it seems sometimes he's in, out at times.
Well, Hutch has formed part of a back three at times
I
as
forgot
well.
about Hutch. Oh, okay, I forgot we re-signed Hutch.
And for me, great professionalism, Jake. Well done. For me, you've got Iorfa is very similar to Hutch. So if you're doing a like for like, do you want two ball playing defenders?
Yeah.
Or do you push Hutch into the midfield
I don't like
that anchor where he plays? I prefer him as a centre back.
I prefer him as a centre back. I'd rather push Iorfa into that anchor position where we were testing him for a little bit.
Yeah.
Give him the anchor role, and because he doesn't give away of many free kicks when he's in that role. He seems to know what he's doing. With Hutch seems a lot more disciplined when he knows he's in that back four. Minus the penalty. Don't mention the penalty, but yes.
Unless we're going to use overlapping centre backs and do what that other side of the city did, I don't see two ball playing defenders in the. It will be. But he's also got to remember, Iorfa's not back till next season. Do we have Hutch back at the end of that? Does he win a contract? Because that's the other thing. He's only 6-month contract, isn't it? And it's then I think if he keeps playing like he is, though, he deserves.
Oh, he'll get
contract.
it. Yeah.
Well, we'll say that though now, and by the time some of the breakouts and that have happened on this, he'll have two-footed somebody in Stoke and got a red, and we'll be, But we'll see.
Is that the new term for reigning out in Stoke? Two-footed someone.
2-foot in Stoke. Yeah, I think for me, it's probably the one that I've got to say has had inconsistent performances. If I had to do a position change, I would give it a go and say, Hutch, you're no longer bringing it out of the back. You're just going to do your job with Dunkley, and I think we're going to bring... Personally, I put Iorfa into the anchor role, but if I had to choose someone, it would be Lees at the minute because his form's been inconsistent, but he can also have an absolute storm.
You have noticed we've missed another centre-back as well, don't you?
Yeah, but...
which I don't...
Yeah, but it's weird because he was so good last season. He's been a bit hit and miss this season, whereas Lees has got a contract running out. Borna doesn't, does he? So many players, I can't remember. But for me, it's Lees. To the answer to Harley Norris's question right now. But I would put Iorfa as an anchor if I had preferences.
No, until 2022.
Thought so, yeah. So looking at it realistically, for me, it's Lees.
Yeah.
If you're doing like for like, it's Hutchinson. But I can't really justify taking Hutchinson out of the team at the minute. So, the last topic for today is looking at Sheffield Wednesday's next matches. Yeah, so obviously we only had 2 write-ins this week. We will hopefully get a few more from you guys. Ask us questions like that aren't current topic based as well. We do want to say that, like, ask us about, I don't know, about different types of football. They don't always have to be specifically Wednesday based as well. You know?
Could go Championship, or what's your thoughts on such and such?
If we get loads in, I'll start answering what's my favourite toppings on pizza just for the laughs. Just as much as your interaction as possible, we'll get it in the podcast. And the full version of the podcast is going to be very much more of a, we're chatting to you guys. You guys are very much involved. We're trying to suit something for everyone here. Breakouts for the people who like watching short form things. They're the topical based stuff. But the long podcast is all the sort of uncut talk.
And if you want a bit of like behind the thing, YouTube tend to like short term stuff more. It tend to recommend it more.
Well, we also have a slightly younger audience that just want to watch 8-minute videos as well. So that's why we do that on there. And people appreciate it, so that's cool. Upcoming matches: Stoke and Birmingham. Let's start with Stoke because that should be our next one up. We've got Fox and Fletcher. We had Fox last time. We kind of kept him quiet, but Fletcher's back this time.
Yeah, but is he fit? Is he fit again?
I checked.
God.
I checked. So there's a chance that Stoke, who are currently 9th in the Championship as well, a good Stoke side, there's a chance that Fletcher comes back to haunt us.
Hutch can just put both in Rose Ed. It's fine.
I mean, to be honest, Hutch could end Fletcher's career. We know how injury prone he is, and we know how much Hutchinson likes a 2-footer.
But then again, it could also end Hutch's career.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. So I am not confident for Stoke. It's a cold, rainy night in Stoke as well, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Yeah,
it's away on a Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we will see.
Oh, that's going to be a good one. I just realised that's the day I go to the dentist. That'll be a good review if you want to watch that.
If you think he can't pronounce names when he can speak. So we're going to... He is in on this joke, by the way. I'm not bullying him. I want to make that clear for some people who don't get the fact that he was he was the one who suggested it, for the record. And now it's just a thing and it's stuck. So, yeah, Tuesday the 16th of Feb, 7 o'clock, kick-off. We'll be doing Dexterity Watch for it.
Could be interesting because that'll be our first game after this, won't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's only a couple of days away. It's the time of watching this podcast. It's 2 days out. So
many games coming up.
I'm nervous for it because Stoke are a good side. They seem to have players coming back. It's going to be a rough one, this one. If we're going to lose any of these two, it'll probably be the Birmingham one because we'll beat Stoke, who are a good side, and we do the thing where we take Birmingham, who are 23rd. They are our next weekend's match.
Let me have a look at what Stoke form is.
Yeah, that's back at home, so hopefully we've thawed the pitch.
Stoke form at the minute, they lost 2 and drawn 2, and that's not including today's game.
Exactly, so they need a win to keep them going on the
roll into Sheffield Wednesday.
Exactly. So there's important mentioning last time we went out against Stoke, we did get that 0-0. They didn't have Fletcher though. We played quite defensively. We'll see what happens. I said it was a good result at the time, 0-0 against a good Stoke side. I kind of want the 3 points here though. That we need to keep climbing, but it's going to be a rough night. Birmingham, 23rd in the league. Somebody we should be beating now. Because you think of our form and you think of their form. We beat them last time. We didn't really have many issues with them. They're crying out for a win. So, we should be absolutely battering them. So, of course,
if one win,
they're going to win.
Yeah.
So they're going to win.
Form. Yeah.
Because the way the Wednesday world works is we will turn around others' form. That is pretty much a 6-pointer at this stage. Birmingham is crucial, and I'm nervous about it. That is on the 20th of February at home if we've got our pitch in working order. A rough week of matches coming up, but hopefully...
If you've got any heaters and you're in Sheffield, please donate them to Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. It might be valuable.
Well, you'll have to donate them because you can't buy them, financial fair play and all that. So we will discuss all of that on next week's Talking Wednesday, but I think...
That's it, isn't it?
That is about it for this week, unless you've got anything else to wrap up with, Punk.
No, that's it. I will keep practicing my players' announcements and see if I can get better, but it's probably not going to get any better than it is. If I have a drink, it will be 10 times worse.
Can you say Uragidi now?
Uragidi?
Yes, not Euro Guide. Not like, is it European
my version.
Tour guide? No, fair. Thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, please leave the reviews. We're trying to get the audio podcast boosted up. If you're new to the channel, on the subscribers front, just subscribe. Video versions are always going to be on YouTube, and then we've got the audio versions. We're pretty much everywhere on audio services now. If we are not on a place that you listen to, and you want us to be, drop me a message in the community tab or just email talkingwednesdaypodcast@gmail.com or the Dexterity Box email in the bio. I'll check them both. Probably the podcast one's the best one to contact for the podcast because we keep it all filtered. And I'll try and get in touch and make sure we can get on those podcast platforms because there's just some that I don't use or don't know about that other people use, and I just need to make sure we can get it through and sorted. But we're on everything now. I've control of the Spotify streams and everything now, so I can see who's well, I can't see who's streaming it, but I can see the numbers. I'm watching you listen to us. But no, I can see all the analytics and things like that. Massive support from all you guys. Appreciated. Leave us nice reviews. But most importantly, take care of yourselves until we talk to you next week. It's very cold. Stay indoors. Get your pets indoors.
I won't have my flat cap on. I'll have something different next time.
No, I think it suits you. I was just being a little bit mean. But take care, guys. It's been very good to speak to you. Hopefully Wednesday can keep clawing their way out of this relegation battle. And we will see you in the next episode of Talking Wednesday.
Yeah.